When you guys started on your path, what part of religion, and we all have different religions, did religion play an important part in how you understood your skill?
Religion is created in part, the structure, the belief system by man.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you today to our second podcast. Today we are in the beautiful home of Wanda in Palmdale, celebrating a Friendsgiving, which was excellent. They did a great job of preparing a great meal, and I did a great job of eating a great meal. So thank you to everybody here today, and we are going to have a conversation between friends. Let's start with you guys know that I listen to people, and I'm at these shows, and so about 3 weeks ago we were in San Diego, and there was a clan of people. They were young. They must have been 18, maybe, but they had little notepads, and they came by Edna's booth, and they were all men, guys. Must have either the teacher or professor told them to go and check it out. I'm not sure. Well, one of them came up to me, and it was not there. And he goes, he asked me what we do, and I told her what Edna does. And he says, "Well, I'm a Christian, and I don't. I'm just curious how what she does, how what she does interacts with our religion." And I said, "Well," I said, "You know what? My simple answer to him was, God knows what we're doing. He gave us a skill, so it's really up to him to decide what we do with it." So that's the question I want to ask all of you. Um, when you guys started on your path, what part of religion? And we all have different religions. Did religion play an important part in how you understood your skill, or was it something that you just separated from your skill? Does it continue to provide you some kind of aspect to your skill, or what does that do to you? What does religion that we understand, Catholicism, Christianity, does that affect did that affect the way your skill was being created or advanced, or is that just not something you acknowledge?
We're going to jump in here because
Okay.
there are other religions too.
Sure.
But what you encountered was those who consider themselves a Christian.
Yes.
Their belief was truly Baptist in understanding, and that is the church they follow. But more importantly, what we would like to say to all of you, the God of your religion can be different than the God of all things, the source, the energy, the oneness. Religion is created in part, the structure, the belief system by man in response to the knowing of the divine energy. And in that response, you see, some will go to an extreme and others stay in the knowledge of their own space of God's light energy. So for M.E, as an example, her path, her belief in God is what allowed her to step into a life that could be frightening, could be scary, could be intimidating, because it was asking her to step out of her comfort zone and allow the message to always be. But that faith in God is why she said yes. You understand that?
Okay.
But it's not the faith in her religious faith, which was Catholic, because in the Catholic Church, in her understanding, God only speaks to the priests. But she knew God was speaking to her and has been her whole life. So those are two totally different things, your religion and your faith in God. not the same.
So you still have some of that background religion,
Yes.
Catholicism, in
Yes.
what you do and how you handle people. Because I know Edna has, I mean, and we talked to a lot of, Catholic people, and I know that they're very hesitant. Although in Catholicism, they have, curanderas who are healers,
Mm-hmm.
but that curandera is actually outside of the religious boundaries. And Edna's always, I don't know if that is something that Edna struggles with in regards to Catholicism, because I know that she has issues trying to explain to her parents what she does, and I don't know if that's part of that problem. So you tell
Oh,
me.
so are we going to me now?
Yeah, yeah,
So yes, I was brought up Catholic in a Catholic home, and there are certain things that in Catholicism, I believe in God. Uh, I went to private school, but it wasn't a Catholic school. It was a Christian Baptist school. And so I grew up with the idea that Jesus is the Savior, and that we as human beings are the temple, and that we carry the divine Jesus in our heart. And I carry that to this day. And the Catholic religion says, you shouldn't be playing with tarot cards because that's evil. And I was always drawn to psychic mediumships and the ability to be able to speak to others on the other side. But there was that fear that it would be seen as something negative in my family, which is why I don't usually talk about with them. But
Do you
I
think that
know
hampers you? Do you think that hampers your
it
skills?
did for a while. Yeah, I did because until I was able to accept the fact that my gifts they were given by God for me, and that there's a purpose for me to have these gifts, and that I'm here to share these gifts with other people, and it's not just for me to hide in the closet and keep them to myself. That I understood that if Jesus was a healer, why couldn't I be a healer? So
Okay.
there's that, right? So if it's possible for him to share his healing powers, then why is it not okay for me to share my healing powers? And so that's how I've approached it. It has been difficult. It's something that I've had to navigate and learn to accept about myself, but I'm starting to do better, I think.
Okay. Okay. Wanda, what is your feeling about it?
Oh, that's a good one. I wasn't raised with, I was kind of raised Christian. We didn't go to church. We didn't do that. I basically went with my neighbors. So I've experienced a lot of different churches. I've been to, Catholic to Baptist. I was baptized, like my mom said, no, you were baptized. Episcopalian, which I guess is kind of close to Catholic. But we never went to Episcopalian church that I remember. I went to a lot of Catholic things with friends. I went to Lutheran church. When I was at a very low point in my life, I was ready to go, okay, there's got to be something more than this. My husband and I read the Bible out together. And at that point, a lot of our friends were reborn Christians. And his sister was a reborn Christian at the time. So we're like, okay, what is this all about? So we literally sat down for months and read the Bible out loud to each other, discussed every single thing. We're like, what? On so many things that it was like so riddly. But I thought, well, at least we read it. And then from there, I studied the Tao.
Checkbox.
The Dharma. Hinduism. So I just kind of went on a religious quest to research everything that felt right, even down to just, the guy that wrote the chicken soup thing. I'm like, okay, Rumi. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Yeah,
Rumi.
Uh-huh.
So I went on a really long journey into religion and just tried to feel what felt right for me.
Sure.
And I settled on Tao. I'm a Taoist. I suppose that's closest to my feelings. And a goddess in Christ. Because I always believed in Jesus. and reading the Bible together, we were like, well, that all feels right, but again, it's like, it's been translated so many different times,
Sure.
and there's so many different things. You kind of just got to go what feels right in your heart.
So do you think that that is, because like me, Mary Elizabeth told me I'm a reluctant healer.
Yeah.
And you and me are on the same boat probably in time wise. But so do you think that has affected you? Because I know that we both have issues with where we're at and where we're getting to. Do you think that that has affected your
I think,
look
yeah,
at it?
because I have, in my life experience, the people, when I owned my own business for 10 years, the only people who ripped me off or didn't pay me were Christians with that little fish on their bumper or that little fish. So I'm like, okay, these Christians. And I'd ask them, I'm like, what about, you got the fish on your bumper? What are you doing stealing from me? Oh, well, we're forgiven.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
So I have a negative life experience with people who push or profess to be Christians and, tell me I'm burning in hell if I'm not going to be a reborn Christian. So I have a negative feeling, and then I think about all the people that were killed in the name of God, the Spaniards. I mean, there's been so much death and destruction over religion that I don't have, it makes it hard for me to say I believe in God because of the negative. To me, it's very, very negative, but I also know that I have a spiritual center, that's what saved me in my own way of my own quest, my own personal quest to figure out, do I really know or understand it? No. But that's what
faith is.
Yeah, that's what made me, basically not want to kill myself.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's hindering me now.
That's the question.
I'm finally getting. I can finally say the word God without like cringing.
Okay.
So she couldn't say God.
I'm more, and I went into the Native American. I mean, I researched like every religion I could find.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very comfortable with the Native American belief of, everything from the earth. And I remember, my dad and asking my parents about religion. Basically, my dad took me out to a stream and he said, look, pick up that rock. And I'm like, okay. He goes, this rock and everything, even everything that lives under a rock is God, is creation. So he goes, it's everywhere, it's everything. That's really all you need to know. That's basically how my family summed it up. It's like, that's it. It's everywhere. It's the rocks, it's the dirt, it's the worms, it's the trees, it's the sky. And, but I like that Native American way of thinking that, it's the creator.
Sure.
That, and things like that. So I have a whole whirlwind of mixture of beliefs all swirling around in my head.
So do you think that it does hinder your forward movement into what we're trying to do or what we're doing here?
I don't know if it does or not, honestly. I know it's to have faith. I have difficulty handing my life over to some supreme being.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm also with the Center for Spiritual Living, and their belief is that we are all God, and that it's us.
Sure.
That's so faith in me.
Faith in me. So yeah, so I'm coming around to it, but it's a journey.
Okay. No, I agree.
It's a journey. Actually, I'm only 68. It's one eventually I'll figure it out. Hopefully, get it figured out before it's my time to go. I'm a slow learner.
How about Nayda? What do you think? I mean, how's it affected your first day of realizing that you have a special gift and what that path looked forward for you?
I was a rebel the moment I came out. I knew I came from Catholicism. Both sides, very God-fearing people.
Mm-hmm.
Read the rosary or do the rosary every day. And as a small child, I remember saying, I'm sorry, why are we doing this? Why do we have to go to a place that's adorned in all gold, but we're supposed to help the poor, but we're using that money to adorn the place with gold? So I had those conflicts. And my thing was always, we don't have to go somewhere. If there's truly something out there, we don't have to go to a place to do it. Now, this is a child, right?
Yeah.
And nobody will give you a straight answer. It's like, no, you do it because I say so. That was the typical answer.
Good movie, Because I Say So.
Yeah. Or you live under my roof. That was one of the favorites I heard a lot. Or if you don't go, so there was a consequence. So, obviously as a child, like I couldn't do anything, but I knew inside there was something else bigger. But because of that, no one could facilitate my need for knowledge, I stopped believing in this thing called God.
Yeah. I went through that phase too.
Because I was like, well, no one's answering me. Like, what? How is it so hard? We go to this place. How is it so hard for you to tell me? But anyways, fast forward, I'm in high school. And I'm like, there's something out there. So I went into Buddhism and Taoism. So I followed your same path. And although I didn't delve into it completely, it didn't become like a religion. I always treated it like a philosophy.
Yeah.
I'm like, I agree in living this life. Be good, do good. And everything will work out for you. I stuck to that. I never stopped believing in God because I never thought about God and had faith in God. If that makes sense. Because to me, I was an atheist. I was an agnostic. I know there was a higher power, but I didn't want to label it as God, the man that I was taught to worship.
You two are, you two literally just said the same thing. The religion taught you that God was
fearful.
A bad thing.
Fearful,
that God
be the
was
fear
a
of
bad
God,
thing.
be afraid.
That's the point, that God is what you know is out there.
Exactly.
Right? God is that understanding that there is more. But the religion has created a God of power, but it's not the power of God that is being wieled. It's the power of man that is being wielded in the name of God.
And with that, I spent the whole rest of my years not going. I mean, I never really liked it, except for the music. I dig the music, and I don't like Spanish just because they take forever, I'm like, bro, English ones are 45 minutes. You are 2 hours now. So the gifts, it's very interesting because now I believe, as I've developed my gifts, but I developed the gifts through hard life lessons in my darkest moments where I just said, God, if you exist, help me.
Yeah.
That's how I discovered or rediscovered the higher power, which I still refused for a very long time to call God.
Yeah.
So when I but when I started being more spiritual and started, following influencers and stuff like that, and they were using divine source, I felt so much more comfortable. Same thing.
Yeah.
Just a different verb that doesn't have the man behind it, ready to zap somebody because he's going to judge you. You're going to go to hell for like doing this one little mistake you stole, bubblegum, So it took me a long time to finally realize that now I'm at the point where I can say, God is everything. God is us. We are all a fractal of God, universe, divine. It could be a turtle. It's just a higher source.
Can we just say that slightly different? You said that, just take it this way. You are God experiencing life as you.
Yeah,
we are
the
that. Yes, you are that specific creation. There's a misunderstanding. You all still think of God as a being instead of an energy force.
And I think when you break it down into like the fractal, that gets a little bit too convoluted, too complicated for most people.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine that you really just one little piece of a gigantor puzzle, and the person who created the puzzle broke himself into pieces, and we're all those pieces. That's a very difficult concept to like accept.
Because when I first started this path, and I met Mary Elizabeth for the first time, and I heard her talk, she always mentioned this divine source, and I didn't know what that was because I was I'm a Catholic, so and so the more I spoke to it, that's what it is. I think that's what the issue is. I think in this community, I think by using divine source or divine energy, I think it alleviates a lot of people's concerns and worries about coming to you and asking for help. Because even when Emma has people come in and she speaks to them Spanish, you could tell they're Catholic and they're just hesitant and they're hesitant.
Mm-hmm.
And she talks about archangels, which in the Catholic religion, that's a big win for her because they believe in archangels and guardian angels. So, but in other religions, it's kind of angels are kind of like in Christianity, they don't believe in, saints and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think I've always thought about God because that's what I only knew. But when I got involved in this community, and I realized that when they say divine source, that is God in a non
divisive
way.
God, religion divides you
Yeah.
as human beings.
Yeah.
The divine combines you
Yeah,
together.
because the divine source is Catholicism, Christianity.
It's all religion.
It's all religion.
It's all things. It's
all
everybody.
things. It's everywhere. So I think that makes everybody a little more. I don't know at ease, but at least they don't want to fight it. Because when I spoke to the kid who came to her booth, I think when I explained that to him, in the fact that we're all a church, we're all this divine power, divine source, that there's no judgments, there's no punishment. We've been given a gift by the divine source, and we're trying to help people who need help. There's nothing wrong with that. So he just walked away, went over there, took some notes, and he left.
I had an encounter when I first started going into public with what I do. And, initially I would give messages from the dead, but then I was literally asked to change the name of my booth to God Speaks.
I had a tough time with that one.
Yes,
Really?
I cringed. I was just like, "You are kidding me."
Yeah.
And I have to.
I have to tell people that
I
one
was just
statement.
like, this is going to be really, really hard.
It was like it was a thing. Okay, I have to tell people God speaks through me. Okay, and then we were put next to the Calvary Church people where we were, and they were all coming over to try to
Save your soul.
Yeah, pretty much. That's one way to put it. And I had this husband and wife who were so very, very angry with me. And I was very proud of myself because I stayed as calm as I could possibly be and saying, I understand your point, and mine is the same. You're just seeing it through the view of your religion versus the compassion of understanding that we are all the same.
Mm-hmm.
And we went through this whole thing, and I'll never forget the mother said to me, well, I will be forgiven. So it's okay if I beat my children. And I wanted to react, but I was told, just say, well, that is one way for you to consider that, but God loves all beings and asks that we love in each moment in time. And their response was just so angry, and they so wanted to catch me. And all weekend long at this event, people were coming up and testing me. Well, it would be okay if you said you were a prophet.
Mm.
And I said, but God speaks through me. God is prophesizing to you about what is coming. So think of me as a prophet if you must.
Yeah, prophet or oracle, I think they said.
Yeah.
Those were the two words.
Mm-hmm.
If you use those words, you would be okay. Otherwise,
you're blasphemy.
We're blaspheming.
Yeah.
And
I was going to hell.
We couldn't say that because we're all sinners. And they were just so convinced that they were born in sin and there was no way that God could speak to you because you're a sinner.
Yeah.
Because we're all sinners.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my God, this is why.
Yeah.
Wanda has to say God.
See, you had to say God.
Yeah,
This is your fault.
Yeah.
Lesson learned.
But But
It
it
was a
was,
tough one.
it was tough for me.
Yeah, it was
I
really hard for
refer to the energy that is one within me as we, because it was very hard for me to say to people, God speaks through me. Because my first understanding at the age of 3 was God came to me and said, I am going to speak through you. And when I told my mother, oh, let me tell you, I got in trouble. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
So the experience of the concept of God based on different religions can be very off-putting in the gifts we use. And as we say, religion divides you.
It does.
It does. And to your original question, how does it affect the abilities? If you have, I mean, we're using God just in different terms, but we're all the same. It's all the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
As long as you have some sort of core belief that there's something bigger than you,
Yeah.
that's when you are allowed the gifts to come out.
Yeah.
That's the path of least resistance. It really is. Obviously, if you're struggling with that idea of any type of source being an all powerful being, you're if you want to have those gifts, you're going to struggle in obtaining them, because it's got to be, if you have faith in God in your religion, then you should also have faith in abilities, right? And because it go hand in hand.
Yeah.
These are God-given abilities that we've always had, but we're just remembering how to use them.
Yeah.
So can it hinder you? Yes, if you don't believe in something that's beyond you.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it will hinder you. You have to let go and just start believing that.
Yeah.
And everything else will fall into play.
And because of the constraints religion puts on us, you struggle with the knowing God created me this way, but religion tells me no. So how do I fit in? How do I not be judged and still be true to who I was created to be? And that's what we all do. We all come from that perspective of, what are people going to think of me?
Yeah.
How am I going to live up to what I'm being asked to do and still deal with the outside energy?
And this has been something in time. I mean, how many witches were burned at the stake for
Exactly.
people that were very
Mhm.
intuitive?
Yeah.
Mostly women.
And healers.
And healers.
Yeah.
We have, us as in a Latino culture, we have the curanderas. But come on now, we all know that's all woo-woo there, right?
Yeah.
But that was our little loophole. But in historical times, women always got persecuted. So we've always been told to shut our feelings down with using the fear of religion for that.
Yeah.
Well, that was an interesting conversation. Like I said, when the guy came up to me, I thought, and I answered his question. He just didn't understand or buy into it. But I thought it'd be an interesting conversation amongst us to see what we all felt about it. And I want to thank you all for sharing your thoughts and feelings about it. Again, we'll be doing our third podcast in December, and hopefully we'll get it right.
Sound check.
There's always hope. There's always hope. People never give up.
We'll get it.
Thank you again thank you for spending some time with me. These lovely ladies are amazing, and I'm amazed every time I'm with them. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again for our Friendsgiving.
Oh, yes,
And
delicious dinner. Thank you
delicious
very much.
dinner.
Well, now we get to have dessert. So,
Yeah.
folks, we're not going to keep you much longer.
It's all right. Tomorrow's Sunday, we can sleep in.
We earned it.
So, from all of us to all of you, a conversation between us friends, conversation between friends. We hope you have a nice week.
And happy Thanksgiving,
and happy Thanksgiving coming up. And we'll talk soon. Bye.